Hello friends. Why did my voice go so deep? I don't know. Anyway, it is time. It is time I read these. So the thing about this series is that you can read them in different ways. It's not just like from one end of the book to the other. You can read it that way. However, like in the middle of the book somewhere, here apparently, it will change and then you will have to read the other side. So you could potentially, read Lyra's point of view and then switch around and read Gemma's point of view. I had to try to see what it says because I don't actually know the different points of view. Or the other way you can read it is read one chapter, read one chapter, read one chapter, read one chapter. And it is obviously the same with the sequel. Yeah. So there's too many decisions. How do I do it? I've Googled it. I looked up what the author says, like, is the correct way to read it. And they say you can read them either way. That's not helpful. That's not helpful. You can read them either way. And that's a pain in the ass for me to decide. However, I think I have finally decided, after many moons of actually owning these books, I have decided that I will read one chapter and then switch around and read the other chapter. However, that means I think I'm gonna have to like mark out the chapters. Something fell out. Bookmark fell out. Wow, okay. I think I'm gonna have to mark out the chapters and then like remove, if I put like sticky notes on, I have to remove them by chance? No. After each chapter read. I think that's gonna be the easiest, because if I put a bookmark and then I switch it around, the bookmark is gonna be like that, and most likely the bookmark is gonna fall out. So I think that's how I'm gonna do it. I mean, I could technically use like magnetic bookmarks because I have those. However, I'm not really fond of the magnetic bookmarks because you have to put like several pages in there, or the page will be like, the bookmark is too heavy for the page, so it will kind of bend and tear the page, which I'm not a fan of. So I think what I'm gonna do is get my sticky notes and put sticky notes in there and do it that way. la 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 la. Update time. So let's see. It's very confusing having a book that you read from two sides. So there's an author's note in here. Although in many cases you will find identical portions of dialogue occurring from both Gemma's and Lyra's perspectives in their respective narratives, you may also notice minor variations in tone and temper. This was done deliberately to reflect their individual perspectives. Gemma and Lyra have unique conceptual frameworks that actively interact with and thus define their experiences. Just as the act of observing a thing immediately alters the behavior of the thing itself. The minor variations in the novel reflect the belief that there is no single objective experience of the world. No one sees or hears the same thing in exactly the same way, as anyone who has ever been in an argument with a loved one can attest. In that way, we truly are inventors of our own experience. The truth, it turns out, looks a lot like making fiction. And then in the blurb, it also says their narratives can be read separately or in alternating chapters. So whether and the blurb is on this side, and that's not confusing. It's also at the, like, what I would say, the back bottom of the book. It's so weird, this. Anyway, I've read a handful of chapters, as you can maybe see. So far the two narratives haven't like crossed over, but I can definitely see how each narrative could be read as their own and then turned around and read the other one. But either way, you need to read both of them to actually get the bigger picture, because from let's see, I started with Lyra. So from Lyra's point of view, Lyra is a replica, so she is essentially a clone among clones. She lives in the Haven facility, or Haven Island. Either or, it's an island where there's a facility, which the doctors and stuff have made clones. Some of them have developed and some have not. And seeing Lyra's perspective, Lyra is like the child that hasn't learned, but she's essentially, I think she's in her teens or something. I forget how old she is, if they said. She's in her teens anyway. I think she might be like the same age-ish as Gemma, and I think Gemma is 16, 15, 16? Anyway, 16, must be 16. Anyway, that's not the point. So Lyra hasn't like learned a lot of things. She's had, like, there's been some doctors and some nurses that's been more friendly and I guess more of a nurturing kind, whereas most of the staff at this facility are like, well, I need to put a gas mask on because you will infect me with whatever you have. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly why they've done these clones, replicas. Yeah, I just know that there's a lot of them, like, they're not fully developed, like, not just mentally but physically, and a lot of them have had sicknesses and stuff that's made them well, die. So there's that. And then we have Gemma, and Gemma is like the rich kid. So basically her parents are filthy rich, so she lives in this like almost like a compound house. She lives in like a mansion with like fenced off, like far away fenced off house. So yeah, she's a rich kid, but she doesn't really act like a rich kid. Her mum acts like a rich wife. Don't really know much about that, although we know that the dad is in pharmaceutical. That's about it, and I think that's the connection between the two characters, but how much and why, and is her dad like involved with this clone making, replica making? I want to say clones because that's a lot more fun. I don't know. So it's intriguing. I like it. It's very, like, it's fast paced. So you get like some chapters are like 2 pages long and others are like 20 pages long. So there's a very big variation between sizes of chapters. But it goes, whether it's like 22 pages or 20 pages, it goes like that. You just get sucked in, you want to read more. And I literally had to stop myself from reading more before I did this update, because I kind of want to do an update as and throughout, because we are very much in the dark about what's happening. Oh, and that's another thing. So Gemma and her best friend April, they were supposed to go on spring break. Not spring break like the rest of their school, because they're kind of like the outcasts, but they were going to go to April's grandparents, I believe, down in Florida for spring break, and they were going to have, like, they were going to stay with the grandparents, and then they were going to have like a handful of days where the grandparents weren't going to be there. But the point was they were going to go away from home, and Gemma wasn't allowed to go in the end. And she heard her parents arguing something about it being too close, because there was someone escaped from the institute. Intrigue. I'm really liking this story. I can't believe it's taken me this long to read it, but that's because it's like, how do I read it? How do I read it? Because I literally could have read like one side, but which one would I have started with? Like in this case, I'll start with Lyra, because it kind of makes sense, because this is the front of the book and this one is the back, because it has a barcode. That's the only way I'm like putting it. Also, if you look in the end, like in the middle of the book, so in the end of Lyra's chapter, you just get like a story continues, and then you get a little sneak peek from the next book, which is Ringer, and then you get like advertisement. But in the end of Gemma's chapter, you get like the little about the author sort of it. Also, you get this, which is usually in the front of books. So, you know, there's that. Which one do you actually start with if you were gonna go either or? Well, one narrative and then the other. And the only reason I started with Lyra was because this barcode is on this side. So, I mean, I could have started with the wrong girl as well. I don't know. But I'm really enjoying the alternating chapters. I feel like I'm getting more of it. Anyway, that's my update for now. And so far, I'm going to say you should definitely read this book series, probably. Now bugger off, because I want to read more, okay? Goodbye. Bye. Yeah, that kind of works. I'm kind of trying out like a new gimbal, I think it's called, to hold it so I can vlog. Moving vlogs. The purpose of this clip is to update you on Replica. As you can see, no more post-its. So I have finished this. First of all, I can definitely see how you can read them like separately, like read Lyra's point of view and then Gemma's point of view throughout. That made no sense. Or you can do like I did and alternate between Lyra and then Gemma. And also, I do believe that, having read it all, I do believe that I started correctly with Lyra's point of view. Although I think you could have also started with Gemma's and then gone for Lyra's and alternate between those. I feel like I got more from the chapters, especially when they were together. The like mutual chapter-ish, when you got like two sides of the same thing. There's a mystery. So we get like some answers for the whole thing, and I feel like this could very easily like be a standalone book, but there's also like there's a mystery, so we'll see what happens in part 2. We'll see. I haven't gotten that far yet. But yeah, I very easily could see this being a standalone and just have it be done with that. But also there's that little extra that goes, ooh, but maybe there's more. Maybe I need to know more. You do need to know more, because you don't really get the answers as to why, if that makes sense. Why these replicas exist in the first place, except for some like dude wanting to experiment, basically. That was the worst update I've ever done. Well, no. So yeah, on to book number 2, and I'll see you later. So I have now read most of the chapters in the first part of Ringer. So Ringer is divided into 3 parts, and I've read most of part 1's chapters on both sides. I'm alternating as I did. This time I started with Gemma, and Lyra is coming second. So I'm not too impressed so far. So it feels like I've literally just picked up a brand new book, a brand new story where I don't previously know these characters, because I'm being reintroduced to everyone, and I'm like, but I already know you. I wanna see what happened next. I wanna see more. I don't need a new introduction to everyone. I already know these people. So give me the plot, don't give me the characters' background. Not that there's much of a background there, but yeah, so far, not very impressed. Seeing as it's book number 2, we already should know the characters. Yes, we do, like, we want a, like, previously on ... but I don't want, like, a full background on all the characters that I already know. I want to know what happens next. I don't want a new story. I want to know what happens next, because we left off in Replica kind of finding out what was happening, what the whole thing was, that there are these replicas, but we don't know why there are replicas. We just know they exist. I mean, we don't really know how many of them survived, except for, I don't want to say his name, but because I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but Lyra and her boyfriend, let's say, because I really don't know how to pronounce his name, okay? So those two are the only like survivors we know of from what happened to the the Haven Institute. Was it Haven Island? Now I'm confusing myself now. See, so now we want to find out why there are replicas. Yeah, that's the information I want to have now. I don't want a full background. And now I'm just going on a tangent. So yeah, let's continue on and see. I'm not sure if that's one, two. Oh, maybe there's 4 parts. Are there 4 parts? No, there's 3 parts. Now I'm confused myself. Looks to be like part 2 is quite long and part 3 is super short. So I don't know if I'll do a update in the middle or when I've finished. It really depends on if I get sucked into the story or not. Depends on what's gonna happen. Just give me info. Don't give me background info and characters. I don't want to get to know them anymore. I already know them. Give me story, progression. Give me that. All right. Very backlit, but you know. Yeah, we'll go with this. We'll go with this. So, update on Ringer. So, turns out when you have post-its and you read from both sides, alternating from both sides, you don't actually keep track of how many pages are left. Which I kind of find is a good thing, but also it means I finished the book before, you know, I could do a second update and then finish one. Never mind. So, what to say? So, where I left off, we were kind of getting like a new story. Yes. Shortly after the last update, we started getting more action, as it were. There's a case of mistaken identity and kidnappings and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's a bit thrilling. There's more fires. There's more fires. It definitely picked up, but did it pick up enough? I'm not sure. So let's just do like a summarization of both duologies. Both duologies. Both books in the duology. So, Replica Ringer. I definitely think that reading them alternating is the way to go. I really enjoyed that concept. However, the fact that you had to like turn it around and you can really have a normal bookmark in there, the fact that you had to turn them around and you can really have a normal bookmark in there. So I used like little sticky notes. It worked perfectly fine, except for the fact that it wasn't the easiest to hold at times. Tom, what? What is it? What is it? Come on then. Come on then. Do you want to come here? Come on. Everyone's here. No. Where was I? Yeah, you can really use normal bookmarks, so not the best in that area, but sticky notes did work. I did use a lot of sticky notes because the chapters aren't very long, which I also very much approve of. It made the story, the plot progress a lot faster, which I enjoy, which I highly enjoy. So, for the plot, the story, the whole thingamajig, so I really enjoyed the whole premise of it. It's a interesting premise where there are these replicas and like they've been cloned. People have been cloned. Why have they been cloned? Not really sure about that one. We get like bits and snippets of like what it could be, but I'm not sure if it's like supposed to be up to the imagination or something. However, I would have liked to have more information as to why did these replicas exist. And you know, not all replicas were actually cloned, so there was a bit kidnapping progress going on there. Yeah, we didn't really get an answer for it. We got tiny bit of answers, but not like a full answer. So I don't know if it was like, let's just brush this under the mat and hope nobody really notices, or if it's supposed to be up to the reader's like imagination. Either or, I would have liked more in that area. Tom! Tom! Tom Tom! And then we have the human side, Gemma's side as it were. So Lyra's the replica side and Gemma's the human side, supposedly. Supposedly? Sort of. Oh, hello. We don't really get many answers for Gemma either. Like, how, who, what, where, when. We just know that her father is involved in the replica process. But how much and if he's still involved in it, we don't really get the answers for it. And I feel like there should have been a third book in this series that like rectifies the non-answering giving thing that these two books didn't give me. But highly enjoyable. The action is fast-paced, however, it's not, you know, give you anxiety, thrilling kind of action vibes. So it's very tame, but it gives you things without giving you the bad things. So there's thrilling aspects, but it's not like giving you anxiety over there. But that can also mean that you're not as, you know, you don't really feel like you need the answers for what the mystery is about. So it's a give and take. It's a give and take. It's somewhere in between. I enjoyed them. Were they worth it in the end? I'm not sure. I feel like there are missing points in them, but still fast-paced, easy read, highly enjoyable, but some aspects missing to the whole thing. I kind of feel like it looks like I have no hair because my hair is looking so light in with the sunshine from outside. Anyway. Oh baby, so you're happy now, Tom? Cool. So yeah, that was my experience reading with books, alternating the covers. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, alternating sides. There we go. Let's just call it that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Until then, take care. Bye bye.